Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Earthen's Den. And in today's episode, I want to talk to you guys about giving up. Now, if you know what it's like to take bad advice, please sit in this moment and reflect on all of the advice that you took that was wrong. And I want you to come to a space of self-forgiveness, because I think sometimes we look at people because we feel like they're older, or we go to people because we feel like they're more knowledgeable in certain areas. And I remember I don't know if it was a book or a podcast. I'm pretty sure it was a book. But, yes, it was a book. And it basically was talking about how we have this tendency to always overestimate another person's potential, but underestimate our own. And so I want to talk to you guys about this sense of humility, right? So to me, I lead with humility, right? I lead with this sense of I don't know everything, right? I don't have all the answers. I probably never will, and I'm okay with that, right? But I think that for a lot of Christians especially, there comes a point in life where you have to lead with confidence and you have to believe in yourself. And I think, in life, like everything helps you become who it is that you're supposed to be. I think that it all helps you get to the next level. I think about sometimes when certain things happen in our lives, right? And we are so quick to say, wow, like I can't believe this happened. Sometimes we get stuck in this place of dwelling. And I want to share this too, because I've had some experiences in my life where I was like, man, this was just so soul crushing. But honestly, when you really take a step back and you just sit in a space of gratitude for the things that happen to you, because you have to realize like life really is happening for you and it's not happening to you. And I think that's the only way you really can win, right? That's the only way you can win. And for myself, I've seen this in other people's lives where some people are just really, really hard on themselves, or they're dwelling over something that is lost. And don't get me wrong, I think certain experiences, like I was watching The Equalizer, and, there's this line that was really profound, and it's true. There's the pain that hurts, and then there's the pain that alters. But I believe that life is really about becoming. And I think for myself, you have to take your time to grieve. Like, I'm here for self-care. I'm here for all those things. But I think in so many ways, we've kind of pacified one another. I think we've pacified culture. I understand the connotation and the conversation around a strong Black woman, right? I'm going to use this as an example. But when I really sit and think about, y'all have to excuse me, when I just ignore the sound, when I really sit and think about everything that entails, I think to be strong in the world is a very good thing. I didn't say be hard-hearted. I didn't say be hard-bodied. I didn't say be this aggressive, nasty, mean, dogmatic. You know what I mean? I didn't say be those things. I didn't say be someone who doesn't listen and can't be corrected and just is a very overall nasty person. What I'm saying is you got to be strong to like survive. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people, we're exposed to social media. So we see these things like, okay, I can totally live this kind of life. This is possible. This person looks like me and they are supposed to live in this life based on this image. But I think you got to be mindful of like what you consume and what you allow to be your truth. Like, I get it. People are creating lives that they want all over the world. I get it. I really do. But the work that it takes to have some of these things, like I've done it that way. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I started my whole spiritual journey in the wake of like manifestation and all of those things, which I do think is real. But I'm going to be honest with you, like, if you're not putting in the work, you're not getting any results. Like, I think a lot of this stuff is kind of packaged in a way that provides a lot of fluff and comfort for a lot of people who may not really be cut out for the life that they're trying to live, or the life that they want to live. And that's not to say that it's not possible for you. That's not to say that you can't live this life. But I really do think that there are certain characteristics you either need to cultivate. Like, for example, because I think this is just the truth that we have to realize. Like, it's just not for everybody. Like, for example, I can't bake. And, yesterday it was a holiday. Well, technically today's a holiday, but I spent time with my family yesterday. And we were celebrating the holiday, and my brother and my mom were talking about me, and they told me that they were talking about me, and they said, yeah, you weren't really born with the gift of cooking. Like, you really don't have it. Like, you can make some things, but like, it's just not in you. And in that moment, I was crushed. I was salty because I've been trying, I had made this little queso dip. It was like giving buffalo dip. It was so far from queso. And I always have this tendency to make too much food when I do cook. So it's like, not only was it gross, or not only was it a fail, but I wasted it. And I remember sitting in this space and I was salty because I'm like, dang, like I really felt like I could cook, like I really be trying. But I had to really realize, like, you're just not going to be good at everything. And I kind of came into terms with that, and it's funny because my family is like, my entire family, they're great cooks. Like everyone in my family cooks very well. Where it just was not for me. Like I'm not a good cook. I can cook some things, like I can survive, but like it's not for me. And so I responded and I let them know that it's okay. I have a great personality. And I say that to say, you got to know your lane. Like you have to know your lane. And, honestly, when it comes to just being a writer and everything that I've done, I'm so grateful that I've stayed in my lane. Like I've managed to kind of stay consistent with the things that really meant something to me and the things that I really wanted to pursue. And I'm very grateful that I didn't really stray so much, like I tried different things. And I think you have to try something and stick with it to really cultivate a good skill set at it. And that's, for me, that was podcasting, that was writing. And even still to this day, like I'm always writing. I'm looking for ways to become a better writer. I'm looking for ways to be more skillful in writing and trying different forms of writing. And writing was my constant. But I think about just so many things that people want to pursue that they just don't have. And it's okay. I think that this is the problem that we do have today. And it's kind of created this compartmentalized and like similar personalities and interests and everything like that. And it's just one of those things to where it's like, it creates a lot of depression because what people are doing is trying to suppress certain parts of themselves to fit into something that they feel like is okay. Like you may not really be good at music, or you may not really be good at dance, but you may love it. You may do it as a hobby. Like for me, cooking is one of those things to where it's like, I like the creative aspect of it. And I know to be a good cook, you have to love it, right? Because you have to put love into your food. Like my sister's food is so nurturing. It's nurturing. It just feels good in your soul. It feels good in your spirit. Like you can tell that she made it with love. Me, I'm like, I'm just trying it. Like I just want to try things. It's a creative project for me because I don't have it, right? And that's okay. And so I just kind of wanted to touch base on that because I think that so many people could set themselves free if they would just walk the path that God has created for them. And that's okay, whatever that is for you. But I can assure you, it'll bring you much more fulfillment. But I don't want to veer too far left. So anyway, I think that what we have to do today is, recognize that being strong is not a bad thing. I think you have to be strong to survive. I think you have to be strong to just kind of exist, even if you don't want to live, even if you ain't trying to endure the surviving to get to the living. Like if you're just trying to get to day to day and just live it, like you got to be strong. And I think all this pillow talk and all this fluff about things is not setting people up for survival. I think in some sense, that's why we are kind of creating the metaverse, even though I think with the metaverse, it's actually created to bring a little bit more like inclusivity in certain experiences. But I think overall, we're still in this space where, we really are creating this sensitized generation. And it concerns me, that's like one of my biggest concerns. And so when life happens to you, you have to get back up. Okay. Like you just have to get up. You have to move on. You have to learn your lessons and you have to move forward. For me, that's always worked by having a vision and having goals and having a passion and loving what it is that I do. I think that because I love what I do, it's always been the one thing that's been like my guiding light in carrying me through anything, the gifts that God has given me. It's just the one thing that just doesn't allow me to fold in any situation. And I also think too, favor, you have favor in your life, like you can get through anything. And so I just want you guys to know, like, you should never give up. And I guess that's kind of like the basis of this podcast episode, as the worst advice I've received was to give up. People, I think the idea of like, oh, if something's not working, give up. Like, even though I'm a bad cook, I'm not going to stop cooking. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be like a chef or anything like that. Like, I don't really like have dreams to be a caterer, but I want to get better with cooking, So it's just one of those things, like, I don't really have it, but I'm not going to give up on it. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm not going to try to make a career out of that because I just said that I'm not good at it. And I think there are just certain things you just don't have, and it's okay. but it doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing it because I'm not good at it. So, this whole concept of like, oh, when should you give up on something? Try it for you. Like, it's a lie. You know what I mean? It's totally not true. Like, I think that was probably one of the worst pieces of advice that I've ever got. And I just wanted to encourage you guys to be mindful of who you take your advice from. I am such a sponge. Like, I am a sponge. I just recently started to identify myself as an old shoe. I just kind of want to be there in the room after reading The Magic of Thinking Big. Like, I totally wanted to identify as that because that's just how I am. I like to sit and observe and just listen. And honestly, that kind of took some maturity. Like, I wasn't always this way. I definitely think I've grown to be this person who just listens and sits and just absorbs information. I was definitely a talker for most of my life, and obviously I still like to talk, but I talk in a way to where I come back and I share it with y'all, so it's different. But yes, sit and reflect on some of the advice that you've taken in your life and where it has led you, and that's how you know if it's bad advice. If you took it and it didn't work, it didn't lead to the life that you wanted to live. And sit and think about that and like really, really hone in on that and journal that and start to unlearn some of that stuff and start to fill your mind with new knowledge, new information. Reading for me has always been like my number one go-to for information. And there's been times where I've read certain books and I'm like, no, you know what I mean? So I think there's always that disassociation with any information that you intake. But like at the end of the day, it's just like, take your time and really start to look at the fruit of a person's life. Like, I don't think it's always about materialism. I definitely think it's about I think if anything, it's about, is this person happy and joyous? Me personally, I'm about happiness, like joy and love. So it's like, if this person's not really radiating those things in the spirit, I don't see that fruit in their life, then I'm personally not going to listen to them because that's what I want, right? So, be mindful of that too, because I think sometimes people will gravitate towards a person because they have these things. Society kind of teaches us that, like, hey, this is the definition of success. But if you happen to meet a teacher or, whoever, right? Hello, your girl's a sub here. If you happen to meet a teacher or someone who has the fruit of the spirit and who has joy and peace and happiness and prosperity in their lives and other aspects that matter to you. Like for me, that's family. That's, you know what I mean? So I'm looking for those things. And I think that's important